Hi, welcome to my video, part 3. I'm relating a radiant and degrees on a circle. Relating radiant and a degree on a circle. A degree is one rotation on a circle, and that is 360 degrees. So we have a circle, and we leave this point right here and rotate once around. We'll rotate 360 degrees. And notice it's 90, 180, 270, 360. A radian is the measure of an angle on a circle when the arc length is divided by the radius. That's the definition that we did in the first video. So the radiant theta, as terms of a radiant, is S over R, where theta is defined as a radian, S is arc length, and R is the radius of the circle. So the maximum radiant measure on any circle with a full rotation is theta, in terms of a radiant, is S divided by R. And the S, the full rotation, is the circumference of the circle, C, and the circumference of a circle is 2 pi R divided by R. And the R's cancel, so one full rotation, the radiant measure is 2 pi radians. One full rotation. And note that when you rotate around a circle of any radius, 2 pi radians is in terms of pi. But if you want, we could take pi and change it to 3.14 radians, and that'll be equal to 6.28 radians if we have it as a decimal. So a radiant measure, full rotation, is 2 pi, or as a decimal, 6.28. So radians to degrees. So radians on the full rotation, that's one rotation, is 2 pi, and in degrees is 360. So 2 pi radians, if you rotate around a circle like this, and you rotate in terms of from this point here, no matter what the radius is from here to here. If you do one rotation, you'll have 2 pi radians. Or if, in terms of a degree, if you leave here and do one complete rotation, you'll have 360 degrees. So 2 pi is equated with 360 degrees. So 2 pi radians is equivalent to 360. So all these circles on this page have a center of 0, 0. All of them will have a center of 0, 0. And R is the radius of each of these circles. It makes no difference. R could be any unit or any number. R is the radius of each of these circles. So if we talk about a radiant and we rotate right here, so if we rotate completely around the circle, like that, in terms of a radiant, that will give us 2 pi radians. Or if we rotate around the same circle and we rotate completely one revolution and come back to there, we will go 360 degrees. So 2 pi is equated with 360 degrees on a rotation. But what about if we go half the rotation? So we go half of 2 pi. So half of 2 pi is pi. So if we leave here and rotate halfway around, which is that, so that rotation right there, from there to there on the circle is pi. And if we're in degrees and we rotate halfway around, we will rotate a half of 360. And a half of 360 is 180. So pi is equated in degrees with 180 on the rotation on a circle. And what about if we rotate 1/4 the way around? So it's 1/4 of 2 pi. And they cancel, and I'll get pi over 2. So pi over 2, from this point, 1/4 the way. Well, that's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 1/4 the way. So this rotation here is pi over 2. And if we think about rotating in terms of degrees, up as far as here, we will go 1/4 of 360, and 1/4 of 360 is 90 degrees. So that rotation is 90 degrees in terms of an angle. So pi over 2 is equated with a 90-degree rotation. And if we go 3/4 of the rotation in relation to a radian, so that gives us 2, and the 2 goes once, 2 and the 4 goes 2. That gives us 3 pi over 2. And 3/4 of the ways is right to here, 3 pi over 2. So 3 pi over 2 is 3/4 of the ways. So 3/4 of 360, 4 into 360 goes 90, and 3 times 90 is 270. So 270 degrees rotation on a circle is 90, 180, 270. So that's 270. So 3 pi over 2 is 270. So I'm relating the radiant rotation to the angular rotation. And also, let's look at some more. What about if we take pi, which is this distance here, if we take pi, which is this distance, and we go 2 pi, which is all the way around, and what about if we go divide by 12? That means it's 1/12. So 2/12 is pi over 6. So if we take this 2 pi radians and divide it into 12 pieces, 12 separate rotations, we got 1, 2, notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So each of this is a total rotation right here, but one of these is pi over 6. So if you think about it, there's 12. 1, 2, 3 in the first rotation of 90. So if there's 3 there, then there's 1, 2, 3 more there. That makes it 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this one little rotation here, that's pi over 6. So in relation to degrees, if we take the 360 and divide it into 12 parts, that gives us 12 into 36 goes 3, so it gives us 30 degrees. So again, if we split this up into a 30 and a 30 and a 30, so there's 3 30s in here. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 more 30s here. 1, 2, 3, and 3 more 30s here. So that makes this little rotation here from here to here 30 degrees. So pi over 6 is equated with 30 degrees. And if you think about it, pi over 6, well, this is pi. This is 2 pi all the way around the circle in terms of a radiant. So pi is this much right here, half of that. So if you take pi and divide it into 6 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So pi divided into 6 pieces gives me this little rotation right here, which is pi over 6, which is equated with 30. And what about if we take 2 pi and divide it into 4 pieces? So that gives me 2 into 2 goes once, 2 and 4 goes 2. That gives me a pi over 2. So if you take 2 pi and divide it into 4 pieces, so here's 2 pi all the way around, divided into 4 pieces, 4 different arc lengths, which are the same: 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get this. We divide it into 4 pieces. Each of these arc lengths, in terms of a radiant, this rotation is pi over 2. And if you take the 360 and divide it into 4 pieces, 4 rotations, you will get a 90. So pi over 2 is equated with a 90. And again, going from here to here is a 90. And then that's a 90. And that's a 90. And that's a 90. So if you go 90 plus 90, that's a 180, which is pi. And if you go another 90, that's 3 90s, that's 270, or 3/4 of pi. And all the way around is 4 90s, which is 4 times 90 is 360, or 4 times pi over 2, which is 2 pi. And if we take the 2 pi and divide it into 6 pieces, they cancel, and I get pi over 3. So if I divide this into 6 pieces, so we got 2 pi divided into 6 pieces. Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means that one of these is right here. That's a pi over 3. From here to here, that's a pi over 3. And this is a pi over 3. And this from here to here is pi over 3. And from here to here is a pi over 3. And this rotation is a pi over 3. And this one right here is a pi over 3. Now if you add all them up, you will get 6 pi over 3s, which works out to be 3 into 6 goes 2 pi all the way around. And if you take the 360 and divide it into 6 pieces, you'll get 60 degrees for each one. So this pi over 3 is a 60. So if we go from here to here, that's a 60. If we go here, that's a 60. That's a 60. If you go here, that's 60 degrees. And if you go here, that's 60 degrees. And if you go another 60, 60, then you go another 60. So you get 6 60s, which is all the way around. So pi over 3 is equated with 60. Pi over 2 is equated with a 90. The radiant measure of pi over 2 is a 90. Pi over 3 is a 60. So just as to cap it up, we remember, I always remember that pi is equated with 180. Pi is equated with 180 degrees. In other words, all the way around is 2 pi, and half of it is pi. So this rotation, as in terms of a radian, that's pi. And this one down here, from here to here, is also pi. So 2 pi altogether. And all the way around is 360. Half of it is 180. And the other half, from here to here, is 180. So you know, I kept it in my memory, that pi radians is equivalent to 180 degrees. let's continue. In summary, 2 pi is equated with 360 all the way around. Half of that is pi. Half of 360 is 180. And if you take pi and divide it by 2, you'll get a 90. So 180 divided by 2 is 90. Pi divided by 2 is equivalent to the 90. If you take a pi is 180. So 180 divided by 3 is 60. Pi over 4. If you take pi, which is 180, and divide by 4, you'll get a 45. If you take the 180 and divide by 3, you'll get a 60. If you take the 180, which is pi, and divide by 2, you'll get a 90. So again, the one to know is pi is equated with 180 degrees. And if you take pi and divide it by 6, so you take 180 and divide it by 6, you'll get a 30-degree rotation. So pi over 6 is 30. Pi over 4 is 45. Pi over 3 is 60. Okay, very important to know that pi in radians is equated with 180 degrees as an angle rotation. So pi is equated with 180. So let's look at pi over 6 again. Pi is divided into 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So pi is divided into 6 pieces. So that's pi over 6, 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 pi over 6. Pi is divided into 6 pieces, and as you can relate to that, that's equated. So if we take the pi, is equated with 180. So we take 180 and divide it into 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll get 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, and 30. Each of these are equal. So pi over 6 is equated with 30. Notice pi is 180. So think about it. 180 divided by 6 is 30 degrees. 6 gives me a 30. 6 times 30 is 180. 180 divided by 6 is 30. Pi over 4. Pi divided into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a pi over 4. That's a pi over 4. That's a pi over 4. And that's a pi over 4. So pi divided into 4 equal parts will give you, that's a pi over 4 for this rotation here. And if you take the 180 and divide it into 4 equal parts, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll get 45 for each one. So that's a 45. So 180 divided into 4 equal parts gives each part on the rotation 45 degrees. So each of these are 45. So that's equivalent to 45. And again, notice 180. Pi is related to 180 divided by 4 will give you a 45. 4 times 45 will give you 180. So I'm relating these so that when we start to work out the exact value of the trig ratios, you'll realize what these are. It'll come back to you. And what about if we take pi and divide it into 3 pieces? So 3 pieces is 1 as far as here. That's pi over 3. And then from here to here is another pi over 3. And from here to here, there's another pi over 3. So this is pi over 3, pi over 3, pi over 3. So it's pi. Pi is, notice all the way around is 2 pi. Halfway around is pi. So this arc is divided into 3 radiant measures of pi over 3, pi over 3, pi over 3. And if we take the 360 and divide it into 3 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, so 180 divided by 3 will give me, each rotation here is 60, 60, 60. So again, pi over 3 is equated with 60. I'm driving that home and emphasizing, because when I do my questions later on in this unit, you'll see how this is going to come into play. And notice 180, which is pi, divided by 3 is a 60. 180 divided by 3 is 60. 3 times 60 is 180. And what about the quadrantal angle? What about pi divided by 2? So we take pi, which is, remember, this is in terms of a radiant, this is 2 pi. This is pi. So we take pi and divide it by 2. And you take, so there's pi, is this rotation, radiant measure. So pi divided by 2 is half of it is there, half of it is there. So this is a pi over 2 right here. And if you take pi, which is 180, and divide it by 2, you'll get a 90. So it makes sense that if this is 180 to here, then this must be 90, and this must be 90. So that's a 90 and a 90. So pi over 2 is equated with 90 degrees. So 180 degrees, 180 degrees divided by 2 is equal to 90. So now we have all the ones that the main ones in relation to. Notice we have a 60 and a 30 and 45s, and we have the quadrantal angles of 0, 90, 180, 270. Those are the quadrantal angles at 0, 90, 180, 270, 360. And we also have the special angles, the reference angles of 30, 60, and 45s. So that's why I'm doing this. Now, we know that pi is equated with 180 degrees. So therefore, pi over 2 is a 90. So 2 pi over 2s is pi over 2 times 2. That gives you pi, which is 180. Now, notice this is a 1 pi over 2. This is 2 pi over 2. This is 3 pi over 2. And this is 4 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 can't simplify. 4 pi over 2 becomes 2 pi. So the 90, notice that these are the 90s. So this is 1 90, 2 90s. This is 3 90s. This is 4. Remember, pi over 2 is a 90. So 4 90s makes 2 pi, which is 360. This is 3 pi over 2. 3 90s makes a 270. And 2 90s makes pi, 180. Pi over 2 is a 90. Now, another rotation that we do is pi over 3. Pi over 3 is 180 divided by 3. So let's go back to this one. Let's put a degree in this one. So that's a 90, and that's 180, and that's 270. So pi over 3 is 180 divided by 3 is 60. So let's go with, that's 1. Let's go with 2 pi over 3s. Let's go with 3 pi over 3s. 4 pi over 3s. 5 pi over 3s. 6 pi over 3s. So notice that 2 pi over 3, that's a 60 times 2, that's 120. 3 pi over 3 simplifies to pi. 3's cancels out, and pi is 180. Notice pi over 3 times 3. Pi over 3 is a 60. 3 times 60 is 180. And that's 4 pi over 3. That's 4 60s. That's 240 degrees. Notice pi over 3 is 180 divided by 3 is 60. That's 300 degrees. And 6 pi over 3 reduces down to 2 pi, which is 360. So I'm just going through all the pi over 3's. But notice the pi over 3's stay. This one reduces to pi. This one reduces to 2 pi. So pi over 3, notice, this is 2 and 4 and 5. They can't reduce. 1, 2, 4, and 5 cannot reduce down. And another rotation is pi over 4. Pi over 4 is 45. 45 degrees. So 2 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4. 4 pi over 4. And I notice I'm going on up through 5 pi, 6 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4. So 2 pi over 4 reduces to pi over 2, which is a 90. 3 pi over 4, notice, is pi over 4 is 45. 3 45s makes 135. 4 pi over 4 reduces to pi, which is 180. 5 pi over 4 can't reduce it. So that's a 45. Pi over 4 is 45. 5 45s is 225. And we have 6 pi over 4. That's 6 pi over 4 is pi. That's over 4 now. This reduces to 3 over 2. So that's 90 times 3, so that's 270. And 7 pi over 4. Pi over 4 is 45, and that's 315 when you multiply. And 4 and 8 goes 2, so that's a 2 pi reduces to 360. So notice the even numbers all cancel out. So you got a 1, 3, 5, and 7. Don't reduce down. It remains as 5s. And the last one we do is a pi over 6. So pi over 6 is 180 divided by 6 is 30. So that means we should have 12 of these. We should have 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6. We keep going. 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6. You might say, well, I can see all this, but I just go. Notice you keep going. Notice all these stop when you got a 6 on the bottom, you get 12 of them, because 12 divided by 6 is 2 pi, which is all the way around. Notice right here you got 8 pi over 4, that's 2 pi. 6 pi over 3 is 2 pi. 4 pi over 2 is 2 pi. So the number you have here is always double your denominator, because remember, the top pi is into 6 pieces, and there's 6 on the top and 6 on the bottom. Pi over 4 is 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom. Pi over 3 is split into 3 pieces, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Pi over 2 is split into 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So anyway, this goes to pi over 3, and that's a 60. This cancels, 1, 2, so that's a pi over 2, which is a 90. 4 pi over 6 is 2 pi over 3. That's 2 times 60, that's 120. 5 pi over 6 can't reduce down, so pi over 6 is 30. 30 times 5 is 150. 6 pi over 6 reduces to pi, which is 180. 7 pi over 6 can't reduce, so notice pi over 6 is 30. 7 times 30 is 210. and 8. 2 goes into 6. 3 times 2 goes into 4. So that's a 4 pi over 3. So that's reduced down. So that's a 60. So that's a 240. And 9 reduces. 3 into 6 goes 2. 3 into 9 goes 3. So that's 3 pi over 2. So that's pi over 2 is 90. So that's 270. Notice we're also adding on 30 each time. 2 into 6 goes 3. 2 into 10 goes 5. So that's reduces down. So that's 60 times 5. So that's a 300. This don't reduce down. So pi over 6 can't reduce. 6 can't go into 11 evenly. So that's 30. 30 times 11 is 330. And this reduces to 2 pi, which is 360. So notice you have a can't reduce down is 1, 5, 7, and 11. These are all evens because 6 got factors of 2 and 3. So every time you get a factor of 2 and 3, it reduces down. And I just wanted to mention that. It might take a little while, but it's very important to see that for the next videos that I'm going to do. And if you like the explanation on that, click on the like button, subscribe button. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.